Thank you, buddy. It has been a tremendous pleasure to work with you this past year. And on behalf of the Society, I want to thank you for an incredible 50 years of service to SAME. As my first official act as president, I want to present you with the SAME Past President's Medal. You have done an amazing job sprinting to the start of our second century, and we look forward to your continued involvement as a past president and distinguished fellow. And I hope that Mary is right there with you, presenting the Past President's Medal to you right now.
He just did, and I appreciate it. And thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you, Buddy. Buddy was our 100th SAME president in our 100th year. For a century, thousands of men and women have dedicated their time as volunteers to grow, sustain, and strengthen this society, and we owe them all a huge debt of gratitude. I'd like to now show a plaque commemorating the national presidents of the Society in our first 100 years. This will be displayed prominently in the national office. As one scans through the names, you will see they tell a fascinating story of SAME's rich history, our future, and the legacy of our leadership. By now, I think most of us are familiar with the history of SAME and how we began. World War I found thousands of civilian engineers and construction workers called to duty to serve in the war to end all wars, resulting in tremendous knowledge, cooperation, and engagement between the public and private sectors to help win the war through combat engineering. In 1919, U.S. Army Chief of Engineers Major General William Black appointed a 9-officer board to form an association of engineers to preserve and capitalize on the technical lessons and camaraderie gained between the military and civilian engineers and their companies, and retain the preparedness and readiness for future conflicts and civil needs. What is often missing from that narrative, however, is the devastating impact that the Spanish flu was having on the military and civilians alike. The Spanish flu pandemic was the deadliest in history and infected about 1/3 of the global population. Estimates vary, but it is believed that it killed between 20 and 50 million people. Surprisingly, we lost more American soldiers, sailors, and Marines to the flu and pneumonia than on the battlefield. Barracks were converted to hospitals. Mortuaries that were designed to handle 4 deaths a day were overrun with over 100. And the rigorous instructions for sanitation at Camp Custer in Michigan were that, I quote, men having the handling of food in any way had to, get this, bathe twice a week and brush their teeth daily. Thankfully, we now have better tools in our arsenal like antibiotics, ventilators, social distancing, and testing. We are not merely reliant on the mess servants and cooks bathing twice a week and brushing their teeth once a day. There are a variety of reasons that the Spanish flu, sometimes referred to as the forgotten pandemic, was largely lost from the World War I narrative. Poor record keeping, it was overshadowed by gruesome reports from the battlefield, and the true impact was concealed in the interest of military readiness and security. But by the summer of 1919, it came to an end, as those infected either passed away or developed immunity. And it was during this same time that our society was conceived and born. I recount all this now because I think it is important, even inspirational, to recognize that what we are going through right now is not unique, it is not permanent, and it will not bring down our nation or SAME. In fact, it will make us stronger and more resilient. Our society was created to strengthen industry-government engagement, and we continue to live that goal today as the first goal of our 2025 strategic plan, and this week during our first ever virtual JETSI. We bring together industry and government to fulfill our mission to build leaders and lead collaboration among government and industry to develop multidisciplinary solutions to national security infrastructure challenges. Our second goal, to build and sustain resilient communities, is further advanced as we tackle national security infrastructure challenges that include enemies as varied as foreign adversaries, cybersecurity threats, and yes, even the novel coronavirus. It takes a resilient nation to recover from something as devastating and significant as a global pandemic, Spanish flu, during a world war, and have it be largely lost from modern memory. And it takes a resilient society to be born during that pandemic and expand to posts around the world. By September 1920, we had over 3,500 members, and we stand at nearly 30,000 100 years later today. General of the Army Douglas MacArthur was a charter member, and Charles Dawes served concurrently as both our society president and as the 30th Vice President of the United States. We have a proud legacy. We were built on industry government engagement and born of resilience, and are advancing that mission still today. Our success in our next century will be measured on two outcomes: value and impact. When we deliver value, we attract and retain a diverse set of public and private sector members who sustain the society and advance our mission. To do this effectively, we must invest in efforts that make an impact in a meaningful and sustainable way. For SAME to create lasting impact, it is critical that we focus on developing future leaders and lead by example. Our other three goals, develop leaders for the profession, enrich the STEM pipeline for the nation, and prepare service members and veterans for the AEC industry, will help strengthen the society while advancing our overall mission of developing solutions to national security infrastructure challenges. A strong society will lead to a stronger, more secure nation, and we will deliver the value and impact to make it happen. I hope that in another 100 years, our current pandemic will be largely forgotten, and words like COVID-19 and social distancing will no longer be part of our vocabulary. But I don't have to hope, I know that SAME and our nation will be even stronger and more resilient due to the value and impact we are laying the groundwork for today. Just like 100 years ago, we are advancing our mission in the midst of a pandemic, and we have never been stronger or more resilient. Our second century is here. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started in here. Let's